In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a Steam friend list and at the very end, how an invited player can join the session. So first of all, the information that you need to actively host a session to invite other players. So you need to have Steam integrated and be able to host and join a session. If you don't have that in your project, no problem, just watch these two tutorials, links are in the description. Let's start creating a widget class for Steam Friend. So right click here in the content browser, go here to widget blueprint, user widget, and I will call it wb underscore Steam Friend. Opening this, and here I'm adding a size box and taking here width and height, setting the width of the size box to 400 and the height to 40. Changing this also here from fill screen to desired, and then it should look about like this. Then in the size box, I'm adding a horizontal box, and in the horizontal box, another size box where I'm setting the width and height both to 40, so the height of the size box here. And in this size box, I'm now adding an image and renaming this image to I_avatar. And so we have the avatar on the left, and next to it, I'm adding a text. So adding here a text block to the horizontal box. I will rename this here to T_player name. Make sure to tick here is a variable so we can use it later in a graph. Then I'm setting here maybe the font size a bit smaller, changing this here to regular, and setting this here to center vertically. So also the text box I'm setting here to fill. On the very right, I now want to add a button to invite a player. So searching for button, you can use the normal button here and add a text on it, right? Invite on it, or you can use a custom button. If you haven't watched my tutorial about creating custom buttons, then I can recommend you watching it. It's pretty similar to the normal button, but just looks different. And yeah, you absolutely don't need it to watch this tutorial here, to follow this tutorial, because like normal button is really similar from how you use it in the end. So I'm adding here the custom button to the horizontal box, renaming this here to invite, wrapping this with a size box to make it look a bit more adjusted in the width, like so. And also what I'm seeing here, this text block here could have some padding to the left. Okay. Then for now, we can actually go to the graph and add an event to update this widget, and actually applying here the player name and the avatar. So I'm creating in here a new custom event and calling this just update data. Then I'm adding a new variable and call this friend data. So changing this here from the type to BP friend info, dragging this in here, holding Alt to adding here set node, and dragging this friend data pin here on the custom event to automatically add here a pin. Now we can break this here, and here we can now getting the display name. So I'm getting here the T player name, so the player name text. If you don't see it here, make sure in the designer to check the is variable checkbox. So the player name, I'm setting the text, connect this here, setting the text to the display name. Next, I would also do something for if the player is offline, then the widget should be just a bit transparent, and if the player is online, it should be looking normal in terms of transparency. So I'm getting here the online state, typing equal, taking here the equal enum, and going here with changing this here to offline. And then I'm setting the render opacity. See this node, set render opacity. So changing actually the render opacity of the whole widget. For the in opacity, I'm getting a select node, connecting this in here. So pick A here. If the player is offline, then the render opacity should be maybe 30%. And if the player is online, it should be 1. So normal. Then for the avatar image, we're getting here the unique net ID. Can also get here new friend data variable. Break this and getting here the unique net ID. And now get Steam friend avatar. Connecting this here. And on success, we wanna get here our avatar image, set brush from texture. On success, we wanna set this here to the texture. Okay, that should be it for first. Or for the invite, we can also add now the logic here for invite. So if you click the invite button, then want to get here also the friend data, break it. We're having here the unique net ID, and here we want to invite, send session invite to friend. Also getting here the player controller. And on success, actually we don't need to have to do anything here, but just for you to know if everything works correctly, I recommend adding here 2 print strings. So on success, we just say invited, and on fail we say on failure we say failed to invite. Okay. Yeah, that should be it for the Steam friend widget. And next we want to create the Steam friend list class. And for that, we are creating a new widget class here. So right click here, create a new widget blueprint, user widget. I'll call it wb_Steam friend list. Opening this, adding a size box here, and setting here, changing this here from fill screen to desired. Then for the width, I'm going with 400, so the same width as our Steam friend widget here. And for the height, I'm going with maybe 500. Then I'm adding a new border as our background, making the background color here maybe transparent dark. And in the border, I'm adding a new vertical box. In this vertical box, first of all, going back to the border here, I'm setting the padding here to 0. And in this vertical box, I want to now add a headline here at top. So first adding a new border here, making this maybe something grayish. And in this border here, I want to place a text block, centering this, adding padding, and changing the text to friend list. To this vertical box, I also want to add a scroll box. And to make the scroll box work properly, make sure to set it to fill. Okay, so if that is fill, then we can add another vertical box to this inside of the scroll box, and that we can just call player or friend container, and make sure is variable is ticked here, so we can use it in the graph now where we are going now. So I want to keep here the event construct, and I'm adding a new custom event, calling this update friend list. And we could initially call here this update friend list event on event construct. So our friend list will update the very first time we are loading the game. But yeah, I will set a timer so it will update each 5 seconds the friend list. So I'm setting a timer by event, connecting this here with our update event. For the time, I am promoting this to variable and say here update interval, compiling this so we can set the variable here. I'm setting this to 5 seconds and taking here looping. And actually now it would first trigger this here after the 5 seconds here. But if we are setting this initial start delay here to -5 seconds, it would also trigger initially this one and then again after 5 seconds. So if this here has a value of 5, I'm multiplying this by -1. So then we have here -5 going in the initial start delay, not the variance here, the initial start delay. Okay. Then we want to get and store friends list. Connect this here with get player controller. Before we are now adding our Steam friend widgets, we want to get the friend container. If you don't see it here, make sure is variable is ticked here in the designer for this box here. So here we want to clear children. Make sure to connect this here with not the first pin, make sure with on success. Then we can get here the results, going in here with for each loop, connecting this here. And then we want to create widget, and we want to create our Steam friend widget. Here we want to call the update data and connect this here with the other array element. Again, we want to get our friends container and add a child to it. And a child should be this created widget class return value here. Okay, that should already work when we play, but we didn't add this Steam friend list anywhere. So if you have already an UI, then feel free to add it there. But if not, I will show you really quick how to create a gameplay UI and then add it here. So if we play, then we see the friend list here. First of all, you need here in the world settings, if you don't see the world settings, here, window, world settings, in the world settings that you have a player controller. If not, you can also create here a new one and apply it. But I have already here a player controller, this player controller. Yeah, right now it's basically empty. So I'm adding an event we can play here. And that should create a widget. That should be our friend list. No, that shouldn't be our friend list. Actually, first, we need to create a new user face widget blueprint. Now we call it WB underscore gameplay UI. And this gameplay UI should be a canvas panel that contains the friend list. So I'm dragging this in here. The friend list, I will set the size to content ticked here. Then I'm moving this on the right and setting the anchor to the top right corner. So, and this gameplay UI widget we just created here, you can close it now. This should be here in our player controller, the widget we want to create. We're going to create here. So I'm also promoting this to variable, calling this gameplay UI ref, adding this to viewport. Then also that we are able to interact with our player list, I want to now set show mouse cursor to true on the player controller here and set input mode game and UI. Maybe connecting here or dragging here from player controller, just typing self because we are already in the player controller. Okay. Then we can test it actually. When you're playing, you should see here the friend list, but you don't see any friends. And that has the reason that we are not playing in standalone game. So make sure to test or to set it here to standalone game, and also to connect properly with Steam. Make sure that you have Steam running. And yeah, then we can start standalone game. So here we are. Don't wonder, I blurred the names and avatars a bit. Of course, for you, you will see the avatars and names hopefully correct. So I will close this again. And what we are doing now is going here to the friends list. And we can actually improve this a bit in terms of performance, because at the moment, let's say you have hundreds of friends or so, or many friends in Steam, then we create for all these friends a new widget, and yeah, that can be a significant frame drop each time you're calling this update here. And what we're doing this only the first time, and after that we don't create new widgets anymore, but we're just reusing the widgets we created already. And yeah, that's very good for performance. So we can do that by promoting this here to a variable, and I'll call this added friend widgets. Then I'm deleting this node here, so we can change it here to an array, dragging it in again, and going here with add. So I'm adding this here. Actually, we can make this like so. organizing this a bit. Okay, looks fine. Then, yeah. So we only want to create here if the edit friends widget last index is bigger, greater. So we're connecting this here with the first pin and this here. I will explain it in a bit. Adding a branch here. So if this is greater than the last index, then we are creating the widgets. That is in the first case. First, when we start the game or loading the player list, then this array is empty. So the last index is 0, and it needs to create new widgets. And adding this here, adding these to this array. The second time, so for example, after 5 seconds, the second time we are updating our playlist here, then we have already array elements in here. So we're going here then with default pin, and we don't need to create new widgets anymore. Instead, we can just get here this array index and update the data. Here to the array element, and also doing the add child to friend container and connecting this here with the get node. Next thing I want to show you is actually at the moment we are creating all our or showing all our friends, but we can actually sort it so that we see our online friends first at the very top of the list, and after that the offline friends. So for that I'm creating a new function, and I'll call it sort friends array. Adding an output variable here. I'll call it turn array, and make sure this is the type bp friend info, and this is set to array. Then for the input, I'm setting here friends, just calling this friends, also the same type here, bp friend info and array. Then we can go here with a for each loop, and from this for each loop we can break, getting the online state here, this equal here, and setting this to offline, changing this to offline here, adding a branch, and now I want to add in here a new local variable, not a normal variable, make sure a local variable, and this should also be the type bp friend info, and I would call it offline friends, and duplicating this, calling this sorted friends. So what we're doing in here now is if this friend here on the loop index is offline, then we're adding here on true an element to the offline friends array. Here, connect this with the array index. And if the friend is not offline, so online, then we're getting here the sorted friends and add here. Also here this element. So when this loop here is completed, then we have first an array with all the offline friends and a sorted or like another array with all the online friends. What we're gonna do now is, because like I called this directly sorted friends because it already has it already contains the online friends, and that is how we want to start our list. So what's in here is already kind of sorted, and we're going here with the append array and appending after that, after the online friends, the offline friends, connecting with completed and returning now the sorted friends. Also, I'm going to click here on the first node and setting this here to pure. Then we can go to the graph and getting here the function connecting here in between. And yeah, if we play now, then you should see here your friend list, first starting with the online friends and after that the offline friends. That's basically everything. One last thing I want to show you is here there's a name that is actually too long, and yeah, I'll show you what you can do against that. For that, go here to your Steam friend widget and right click here on the text block, going to wrap with a retainer box. And yeah, if we're doing that, then the text won't clip above this borders here and it will stay inside here. And one last thing I want to show you before checking out the final result. In the game instance that you have selected in your project settings, if a friend that got an invite from you want to accept it, this invite, you need to add this to your game instance. So you went on session, invite accepted, then destroying a session, even if there is no active session, you just should do it because otherwise would not be able to join the session. And on success and on failure, we are just joining this session to join here. And yeah, now let's check out the final result. So here we are at the top, we can see the online friends and below that the offline friends. And if we are trying now here to invite a friend, then it says here for me now failed to invite. And that has the reason that we're not actively hosting a session, but if we are properly going through the process of hosting a game and then coming to this map, and then we can say, for example, invite, and then it also should be successfully here invited. And yeah, that was basically everything for this tutorial. Next tutorial, I want to show you how to add this friend list or how to integrate this friend list into a lobby. And yeah, see you then.